So now we're going to begin the actual practice, or look at the actual practice here for Vajrasattva. And as we do this, the text here begins with the refuge prayer, which is repeated 3 times as we do. And then we have the visualization. And so above the crown of my head, so we're visualizing Vajrasattva as sitting above our head. So if I can do this, kind of like this, not actually touching, but just above the top of our head. And this text is based on Vajrasattva with Vajrasattva, the consort, so they're in union. So I visualize a white lotus. So above the crown of my head, up here, I visualize a white lotus with a moon disk seat. So just a white disk like a moon, flat. Okay, on this is a syllable Hong, and you can see the syllable Hong there on the side, which transforms into a Vajra. Okay, it's the Vajra, so it would be standing up like this. So it transforms into a Vajra with a Hong in its center. So in the middle part here, so much smaller, would be the Hong in its center. And then the Hong transforms into Vajrasattva, and Vajrasattva in union, the essence of our own kind root Lama. Okay, so our Lama, the essence of the Lama, the ultimate nature, the Buddha nature of the Lama, if you will, then is transformed into Vajrasattva, and so Vajrasattva and Vajrasattva now are visualized as being above our crown. Vajrasattva is brilliant, luminous white in color, youthful with long black hair gathered on top of his head, the rest curling down the back and around his shoulders. And so in this one you can see from the back side here that he's got quite a pile of hair on top, but over his shoulders on either side are also strands of hair as well. So that hair is piled up on top. Normally we wouldn't see someone with quite that big of a pile on top of their head, but then he also has some coming down the sides and over his shoulders. The white color now, one thing to keep in mind when we're looking or thinking about a deity is that it's translucent. It's not, or transparent. It's not solid. Now this is a solid object, but when we're visualizing them, we think of them as being, light can go through them. They're translucent or transparent. White's kind of hard to imagine as transparent per se. Clear is better. So white more is a translucent kind of color in appearance. And let's see, okay, in his right hand he holds a golden Vajra. So he's got the Vajra in his right hand, which he holds between his thumb and forefinger and brings it around behind Vajrasattva. And in his left hand he holds a bell. So the bell, but the bell is held upside down this way, and again around, so he's embracing her while holding these in his hands. Okay? Although usually he's holding this down a little bit lower. I'm holding it up so you can see it, but it's down lower, like next to his hip, or around kind of behind her a little bit, down in there. And the Vajra represents the male principle, and the bell represents the female principle there as well. Symbolic, holding the Vajra, which is symbolic of great compassion. So compassion is the male principle. On the left is the bell resting on his hip, symbolic of the wisdom of emptiness, the female principle. He wears the Sambhogakaya ornaments, the 5 silken garments, and the 8 jeweled ornaments. So those are the different things, the skirt and the shawl that comes around the shoulders, and there's various, you can't really see them in this one, but there are necklaces of different lengths, there are things around the upper arm, there's bracelets around the wrists and the ankles and so forth. Those are the things that are being referred to here in this part. I and all sentient beings, go back up. At Vajrasattva's heart is a Vajra on a moon disk. So remember, we had a Vajra with on top of a moon disk before. Now we've got him, but inside of him also is a Vajra and a moon disk. So inside him, up here above our head. And surrounded by the 100-syllable mantra. So what we have is the moon disk, the Vajra sitting on top of the moon disk, and then around the edge of the moon disk is the 100-syllable mantra. Okay? It's organized right around that. And it turns as we recite it. It goes around and around. And so we're reciting that as the syllables, if you will, come around to the front. We can read them, and so we read them in a way that kind of follows that around. So then light radiates out in all directions from the rotating mantra to all the Buddhas. So before we recite it, this radiating out to all of the Buddhas. They are pleased and send their blessings in the form of light that is absorbed into the mantra at Vajrasattva's heart center, increasing its brilliance. So this light radiates out to the Buddhas, comes back as a blessing, increases the radiance of the light. Okay? This fills his body completely, enhancing his magnificent appearance. I and all sentient beings, deluded by our ignorance, regret our negative actions. Okay, remember, looked at the 4 powers, so I regret our negative actions. O Lama Vajrasattva, holder of the Vajra, please purify us. So we're requesting here that he purify all this negative karma that we have accumulated. Nectar produced from the mantra syllables, a little typo there, from the mantra syllables flows from the place of union of Vajrasattva and Vajratopa. It enters the crown of my head, purifying my body of all obscurations and negative karma. So as it comes in and it goes down, it purifies our negative karma of our body. Then it continues down to the throat. All obscurations and negative karma of speech are fully purified. So we've purified our body, now our speech. As it comes to the heart center, all obscurations and negative karma of mind are purified. And these are then expelled in the form of a smoky dark liquid through the pores of our skin and lower openings of our body. And it goes down as you're filled with nectar and completely purified. Now the other part of what is in a lot of these versions is that below us in the earth, which cracks open, are these demons. And as this black smoky liquid comes down and out our body, they're down there gobbling it up as nectar, as food, okay? And then they disappear back into the earth again. So we visualize this all going out. Now we are pure. We become white and pure from this nectar that came down from Vajrasattva and Vajratopa, and we are pure and white just like Vajrasattva. So one of the things that I like to do when I do this practice is to, instead of doing it for a fixed number of repetitions, I like to do it until I really feel like I am purified. Okay? And so once I get the feeling that I've purified whatever that negative karma is that is residing there, then I go ahead and continue on with the practice. So then we recite the mantra. So that's listed here. Om Vajrasattva. And let me just recite this the way that you might normally do it here in a kind of syllabic form. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tinopa Tishtadrito Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anuraktu Me Bawa Sarva Siddhi Me Prayata Sarva Karma Sutta Me Sittam Triya Kuru Hong Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tata Kata Benza Mame Munsa Benzi Bawa Maha Samaya Sato Ah. Okay? So that's a real common way of doing it. But how did we learn our alphabet as kids? We sang a song, right? Yeah. A, B, C, D. So the easiest way to learn these things, especially a long one like this, is with a tune. And there are some variations in those tunes, and so that can be a little bit complicated. But I'm going to play one here for you. And so if you learned a different tune, it'll probably mess you up. But I want to play this, and we'll actually do it a few times together. Okay, so do it. You can read it along with that if you don't have it memorized. And we can learn this tune, which can be very helpful as we go about learning to recite this mantra. So we're going here. Try it again. Here we go. Vajrasattva samaya manupaya Vajrasattva tenoba tishadriyo me bhava sudukhayo me bhava subhukhayo me bhava anurato me bhava sarvasiddhi me prayasya sarva karma susame siddhanjaya guru ha 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 ho bhagavan sarva tathagata vezamami munsa vezabhava mahasamaya sabhava om Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva tenoba tishadriyo me bhava sudukhayo me bhava subhukhayo me bhava anurato me bhava sarvasiddhi me prayasya sarva karma susame siddhanjaya guru ha 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 ho bhagavan sarva tathagata vezamami munsa vezabhava mahasamaya sabhava om Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva tenoba tishadriyo me bhava sudukhayo me bhava subhukhayo me bhava anurato me bhava sarvasiddhi me prayasya sarva karma susame siddhanjaya guru ha 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 ho bhagavan sarva tathagata vezamami munsa vezabhava mahasamaya sabhava. So that gives you an idea of the tune to this. As I said, there are other tunes as well, but this is one that is very common. And you may be able to find it on the internet. Certainly you can get a CD, which is what I'm playing here, from the Garchin Institute in Chino Valley. For a few dollars they will mail it to you. And it's very, very helpful. I used that when I was doing the Nundra originally. I used that as a way to memorize the mantra and found it extremely helpful. So then we continue on. So we retain the visualization. As we recite that, we remember Vajrasattva and Vajratopa above us, and then all of the nectar coming in, all of the black smoky liquid going out. And then the next part, I resolve never to perform these negative actions again. So here's our resolve. Vajrasattva is pleased with my prayers and replies, your delusions are now cleared away and you are purified. Huzzah! Or ho, as it says in the mantra. Okay? And with delight, Vajrasattva and Vajratopa then dissolve into me. So here's the dissolution. I said there's two ways to do it. One is an instantaneous dissolution, and the other is a more gradual dissolution. So this one follows that more gradual approach. And basically, it's an outside-in approach. So Vajrasattva and Vajratopa dissolve into me through the top of my head. Then I become Vajrasattva and Vajratopa. Boundless light radiates out, filling the entire universe, transforming all phenomena into a perfect Buddha field of pure joy. All sentient beings are transformed into Vajrasattva and Vajratopa. Sounds are the resonance of the mantra, and all thoughts are spontaneous display of wisdom. And so then you visualize all of this dissolving down and into the emptiness. So this is where we do the actual meditation part. So it dissolves into us. Vajrasattva is already dissolved into us. We dissolve down into the mantra, the moon disk with the mantra and the seed syllable. And then the mantra and seed syllable, or mantra and moon disk dissolve into the seed syllable, the hong. And then we visualize from the bottom up. The actual seed syllable then starts to dissolve. So from the bottom up, it dissolves. That figure that looks a little bit like a 5 there all dissolves up to the top part of that and into the crescent, the little smiley face part. Okay, and then into the nada, which is the little circle there, or bindu. And then this one doesn't have much of it, but it's often referred to as a squiggle because it actually goes back and forth 3 times. And then from that it goes right up to the tip into nothing, or emptiness. Shouldn't say nothing here. Okay, different meaning. So into the emptiness. And so there we just reside in the meditation. It doesn't have to be long, it can just be a few minutes. And then we reappear. It says we arise again as Vajrasattva and Vajratopa, so we reappear. And through the virtue of this practice, may I attain the enlightened state of Vajrasattva for the benefit of all sentient beings. And actually then this has the formal dedication, by the merit of this practice, may I attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings as well. Okay, which we repeat 3 times. So that is the basic practice. There are variations of this. This is just one example of this, and it's a nice short one, but still has enough meat on the bones, so to speak, to give us something to really help with the visualization for doing this practice. Now, repeating the mantra we do just like with the tune that we did there. We repeat that, and it says here as many times, or no, I guess it doesn't, but oftentimes they say, oh, above it does. Recite the mantra as many times as you can. So however many times that you can do that, you do it. If you don't have time to do the long one, you can substitute the short one there. Some versions will repeat the long one either once or a few times, and then repeat the short one a lot of times. So there are variations on a theme here in how you go about doing this, especially if you're actually counting. In our case, we don't have to count. So you can do it once if that's all the time you have, do it more, and you can do short ones. My own personal practice, what I like to do is do one of the long ones and then do the short one until, like I mentioned before, I feel like that I have purified myself with doing that practice, and then I do the dissolution and the short meditation and then reappear and continue on from there. But we'll talk about how to do that when we do the combined short version of the practice a little bit later on after we've completed the Guru Yoga. Okay?